tell. We did an adaptation of Cain for our film. Alright, so pretty much the general overview of our film. We did a modern adaptation of Cain. So we pretty much tried to take aspects from the original book and put them in modern society. So pretty much we followed the two stories of Blood Burning Moon and Bone and Paul. But instead of having it back in the 20s, we brought it to modern day. And so we had Blood Burning Moon. That had Tom and Bob. One was from the city, a wealthy man, and Bob was from the country, still a farmer. And so they eventually they're in love with the same girl, just like in the book. And instead of the lynching and the stabbing like you see in the book, it's like a gunfight in the city. So it's a little more modern in that aspect. And then for Bone and Paul, instead of having it be a black man and a white woman, we instead switched it to an immigrant and a white woman. So trying to play on that idea of like race and immigration, like the main issues of today, especially with the presidential race and stuff. There's been a lot of talk about that. Our director was Colin Powell, who is this diplomat's son, great director. This was his first film. And the filming started late in 2015, and the film was released in October of 2016.
So for our special feature, we split up in two parts. Our first part was a teaser trailer. Our second part was an interview between the director and the character. Now, because I'm an engineering student, I lack the photography skills that such skills like Matt Damon has. So this teaser trailer is made in the format of something like Interstellar, the teaser trailer, or like a fan-made teaser trailer with like a leaked script with the plot, with the images from different other movies and scenes trying to explain the plots. So, and basically that's like all the videography, right?
So we divided our special feature into two parts because we felt the teaser trailer might not be enough. So we felt the purpose of the special feature was to give some insight into the production process of the film, the themes, some of the ideas behind it. So we had a couple of interviews, one with the director and one with the screenwriter. And the way we included these interviews were as transcripts of interviews conducted by separate magazines that were picked up by the Criterion collection. So they're not actually videos, they're text. So the two interviews, their main purpose is to provide more details on the production process, the interactions between the director, Colin Powell, and our screenwriter, James Marshall, how Powell came up with the idea for the film and some of the themes behind the film. I just have a couple of screenshots from our 2 interviews. So the first one was with the director, Colin Powell, and here he talks about how he decided to make this adaptation and how he approached the studio Rockdale Films, also a fictional creation by us, and how they initially argued about the nature of the adaptation. So they wanted to adapt either the entire book or a single part or one of the 3 parts of the book, but he decided to do just those 2 stories because the stories in the book are quite loosely connected, and he felt that for today's audiences it's much more important to have a closely connected narrative, and also these 2 stories best help emphasize the themes he was trying to get across with this movie. And the second interview is with the screenwriter James Marshall. So he talks about how he and the director initially had some disagreements about the production of the film, the script, how they would work out the details, how they'd have these daily meetings where they'd write down their ideas for the film on the board. They'd write down on one side, you'd have the original novel, and on the other side you have their adaptation, and they try to see if they were diverging from the source material too much, because the point was to include all of the original themes about race, as well as to bring in new themes like modernization and globalization, gun violence, and so on.
So this is our cover art. As you can see, we have the juxtaposition of like the sugarcane field and the buildings. It's more of a minimalist piece that I created mostly with vector graphics. We've got the blood-burning moon there in the middle, sort of like leading the road on, but you don't really see the end of the road, because it's meant to symbolize like the issues of racism and things that are seen in the book, but more so onto issues with identity and gender roles that can be applied into this movie version and into modern society as well. And on the back cover, we just see the general Criterion collection format for DVD covers.
And lastly, we're going to talk about the critical essay. So for the critical essay, it reveals like why the director chose to modernize this, and we said that it's trying to like reflect the political discourses that were going on recently regarding immigration, trade, and gun possession. Most of the films are either portraying internal racism, which is racism among the citizens of the same nation, while there are other films that concentrate on external racism, which is racism against another citizen from another country. And this film tries to like hybridize these 2 racism, and we could see that from the change in Paul from a mixed race person to an immigrant, and it also reflects like the immigration policy debates going on currently. If we look at Bob and Tom through the economical issues, Bob is portrayed as a Bob is a rich businessman, and Tom is a poor farmer. Through like the free trade and stuff, farmers in America are like experiencing like poverty and stuff. So like that's also the reflection to the political discourse. And the switch from the knives and the lynching in the original to the gunfight between the Bob and Tom is also like reflection of the shootings incidents in America and how like the gun position is in the right now.
Yeah, and we kind of talk a little bit about possible future films. Powell discusses how he may or may not adapt other sections from the book, maybe different time periods to possibly far future, same time period as the book, or more today. So that will be cool. Any questions?
Oh, no.
Just get right
Okay, all right.